Did you want to? Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the call today. We're really excited to be here. We're actually trying out a new format. This is the first time we've done this in front of a camera like this, so we're really excited about it, and hopefully you'll be happy to see a little bit of our office and see us too. We do miss everybody. We wish we could see you in person, but this is almost like the second best thing.
Hi everyone, I'm Megan. But just the energy this morning, just being in front of people is so nice. Like I miss that so much from actually seeing people every day. So thanks for inviting me in.
Thanks for coming here today. We're really lucky to have Megan here. You know, Megan and I actually, we go pretty far back now. We met 10 years ago when she was just starting her state farm agency.
That just seems crazy to me. Like how could it be 10 years?
I know, and you know what, well, maybe I shouldn't even have said that because now we're starting to show our age. We were really young when that started. You do, you look the same as your picture.
Yeah.
It'll be like, you know, have you ever seen those realtors that have pictures that are like 20 years old and you meet them and they like just have the same shot?
Yeah, we could get those pictures updated.
But anyway, we actually met when we were in a similar position, both starting our agencies and businesses, and have collaborated on the professional women's organization, Power, that I founded in 2008, and then Megan has continued to run since then. And, you know, through the years, we've really been able to develop our friendship and relationship and not only empower each other, but I think we've empowered a lot of women together through Power as well, no pun intended there. But Megan's also someone who is really committed to giving back in the community. She does so many things to help others. I have a couple of them listed here, but she not only runs a really successful state farm agency, but she sits on 2 local chamber boards. She's a trustee for the Washington County Community Foundation. She was named Volunteer of the Year for the American Cancer Society in 2014, a Zonta Award recipient. And she also coached nationally ranked junior varsity team at Pierce Township High School for 7 years. That is just, I can tell you, knowing her personally, just a very small number of the things that she's done. So she's a great asset to our community, and I'm lucky to call her my friend. So we are here though today to talk about her business and what she specializes in. I'm really excited about this because I feel like property casualty, also known as auto, home, and what was the last one?
So personal liability.
Thank you, personal liability insurance is one of those areas that clients sometimes ask me about, but don't necessarily get into deep with me. But I do feel like this is sometimes a gap in their planning. So Megan's hopefully going to provide us with a bunch of information about what's important and what you should know about your auto, home, and liability. And I think she's going to do it in a really fun format.
Yeah, so auto and home insurance, I mean, it's boring, right? No one wants to really take the time to put their energy to learn about it, right? You just kind of get it and feel like you have enough and put it away in the file and don't look at it, unfortunately, until you need it. And that's not the best approach to take because you don't want to find out the coverage you have when you need it. Maybe it's not enough. So it is important to look at it every so often. It doesn't have to be every year, but especially as your life changes, you know, starting out when you're young, you buy your first vehicle, then maybe get engaged, married. You know, sometimes there's life changes and maybe you go your separate ways with your spouse. You add kids, you know, you start a family, so you retire. So anytime that you have a life change, and it's probably very similar to financial planning, is that you want to take a look at your finances and your assets and what do you have to protect. So insurance is, you know, what do you have to protect, what you work so hard to accumulate. You don't want to lose that just because you're not properly covered. So that's, you know, that's my job and that's my role. And in my agency, we have 8 fully licensed team members that can help our clients understand and be educated on the coverage that they need and any gaps in their coverage. coverage. So yeah, so today, instead of asking me questions, I'm kind of gonna like flip the switch a little bit, and we're gonna do a fun little true and false quiz, and we're gonna see how much Melissa knows about her auto and home. So, but it'll just get the conversation started, and a lot of these true and false questions have to do with, you know, the typical questions we get from our customers on a regular basis. These are common questions or concerns that they have, and we'll just kind of get the conversation going a little bit. So make insurance a little bit more fun.
All right, I'm a little nervous. I don't know if
is anybody keeping track of how many points. Josh keeps track of Melissa's score.
There's Josh.
There he is.
I'm gonna get graded.
All right, so true or false? All right, okay, so.
Am I playing?
Your homeowner's coverage should equal the estimated replacement cost of your home, not the purchase price.
True.
You are right. Yes, yes. So when we are, maybe somebody's buying a new house or they're building a new house, the purchase price or the amount you're spending isn't always the same as what we're going to insure it for. We think about if something happened to your house today, cost of material, cost of labor to rebuild that structure as it was is what we're concerned about. We're not repurchasing the land, right? Market value could be completely different than a replacement cost. So just a little bit of you know, knowledge going into it. If it doesn't match up with what you're paying, there's probably a reason why, right? We're concerned about replacement costs. What's it going to cost us, the insurance company, to rebuild your home as it is today?
That's a really good point. And actually, one of the questions I get a lot, or when I am looking at a liability policy, or if someone brings it in, the deck pages will say, well, why is this number so high? I mean, like you said, I didn't pay this for my house, or does this seem excessive to you? And I do get that question a lot, so that answers that. But also, I guess my question is, I mean, typically, how do you arrive at that? Is it like 20% more? Is it like a percentage rule of thumb? Or like, how do you find the right balance? Because I'm assuming the premiums go up
as the coverage
goes.
Yeah, and it has to do, a lot of factors play into your premiums on the homeowners, but specifically when we're looking at a replacement cost coverage, we're going to ask you details about your home. The year it was built, square footage, is it a brick or is it a frame house? Like, all of those make it a different risk, and it's a different pricing as far as the premium goes for the insurance company. When should you review it? If you have a $450,000 replacement cost and you just did a major addition, or you built a detached garage, or maybe you finished your basement, that's a time, any type of large change to the actual structure is a time to call your agent and say, hey, listen, we just finished the basement, can you make sure we have enough coverage? Or roofs lately, if you get a new roof, always let your insurance company know if you put a new roof on.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There are insurance companies out there that depreciate the value of the roof. So we've had a lot of hail storms recently, a lot of roof replacements. State Farm will give you the replacement cost. It doesn't matter how old your home is, but there are insurance companies out there that will say, well, you only had a roof in 2002, so we're going to depreciate that value. So they're not buying a new roof, they're giving you
the difference in what it
yeah.
Okay, so that's really good.
So that's good information. So that would be a time, like I said, anytime to review how much insurance do I need, especially when you're homeowners, would be, have I made any changes lately? Did I do a new kitchen? Did I
new windows?
Yeah, all that. Yeah, any big things, like some TLC work. Yeah, probably not, but anything major. So, okay, all right, so we got one. All right, so your homeowner's insurance policy covers flood damage.
False.
Yes. So any homeowner's policy out there excludes flood insurance. You have to purchase that through FEMA. I try to talk in Western PA, try to talk my customers out of buying flood insurance. Unless you're required by the bank to purchase it. It's just one of those policies. It's hard to get them to pay out.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend self-insuring. Take that premium that you would pay into that policy and put it into an emergency savings fund in case you would need it. But yeah, FEMA is not the easiest. It's a government agency, so it's not the easiest to deal with.
What if you're in a flood zone?
So if you are in a flood zone,
Is she required to buy it then?
if you have a bank, Yeah, if you have a lien on a house, then you are required, and unfortunately,
You can't
it is
really
what it is. Yeah. So
we learned that one the hard way about the flood insurance. So
yes. Yeah. Yes.
well, there's different kinds of flooding too, right?
Well, there is different kinds. It's really flooding is considered just surface water.
Right. It doesn't matter if it
Any-
came from like a braided pipe or the street, right?
Surface water that comes into the foundation, into the house, is considered flooding, and that is excluded under every homeowner's policy out there.
What if a
And if you
pipe?
got a pipe break in your house,
So if a pipe breaks in your house and the water is coming down, right? Usually it's coming down from a pipe breaking.
Yeah.
So if it's in the inside of the house, that's different.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. This is more exterior surface water
Mhm.
coming down into the house.
That's a good clarification.
Good question though. So, okay, wow, you're 2 for 2. A solution for people who want extra levels of liability insurance protection above the limits provided by their auto and their homeowner's policy is called an overflow policy.
But just so everybody knows, I did not get these questions ahead of time. I think I know the answer. It's called an umbrella policy.
Correct, yeah. So there's a policy out there that gives you additional excess coverage above the underlying limits on your auto and home, and that is a personal liability umbrella policy. One of the least expensive policies we offer for the amount of coverage provided, and highly recommended if you have assets that exceed $500,000. Absolutely, get an umbrella policy, look into it. We in this area, I'm an agent in Peters Township, and I have an office on Robinson, and many of our customers, we have the conversation around the personal liability umbrella. You work too hard for the things that you have. For, an accident, it could be pouring down rain, you could be paying attention, and some kid runs across the street. You're responsible, right? You could lose everything. Your wages could be garnished. For the little premium an umbrella policy costs, it is one of the most recommended policies in our agency.
And, I'll comment on that a little bit, because I do think that most of our clients need and should have an umbrella policy, and many of you do not. This is one of the things I like about Megan. The same way that we take a very holistic approach with you, she does this with her, in evaluating, your auto, home, and liability. I find that many agents are just working with price, but she's going to look at really your overall financial situation and recommend things that you would need to not just get your plain vanilla coverages, but to protect you if something catastrophic were to happen. And so I am a huge proponent of umbrella policies. They sort of just tack on to whatever they need to give you that extra coverage you need if there was some very strange catastrophic situation. And they happen. I mean, it happens.
Auto accidents happen every day, but the liability umbrella, it covers your home, it covers if you have a boat, if you have an ATV, if you
It tacks on to pretty much
anything.
Right?
And
It's
so,
like almost portable in that sense.
yeah, I'll give you a situation that we have. I think the claim just closed up. But, I never even thought of this to give this an example of somebody, but now I do because it happened. But there was an incident at Penn State University, and a student got highly intoxicated, fell down the steps. I'm sure everyone knows this was national news. State Farm represented over 8 of those students at the fraternity that were sued.
Individually.
Yes, and the personal liability umbrella came into effect for many of those students to protect those kids. The one that was sued was just on the board. He wasn't even there that night, but because he was responsible for processes and procedures, he was sued. So we live in a sue-happy world.
Yeah.
Protect yourself. So definitely,
And that's the problem.
talk to your agent about it.
Sometimes you aren't even in the situation and you can still be named in a lawsuit. And that's what happens. I mean, when somebody is hurt, especially severely, they tend to get awarded something, even if it really wasn't anybody's fault or it was their own fault, because the issues are just so severe. So if you have some type of affiliation, like being on the board, even though you weren't there, you could somehow be held responsible. So what that policy does is basically increases the amount of coverage you have over the other ones, giving you a little bit more of a buffer there.
Yeah, typically we see $1 million umbrellas or $2 million umbrellas. You can go any increment. We offer up to 10 million. I very rarely see that, but a $1 or $2 million umbrella is very reasonably priced, and it gives you that extra. It gives you that just peace of mind.
If you have a business or a pool or some situation probably where there's extra risk, you might want to consider
Swimming
having
pools.
more, right?
Yeah, swimming pools are a big thing.
Yeah.
Boats, you know, you have a boat.
Right, things that are just naturally.
So the personal liability umbrella, highly recommend, like I said, one of the least expensive policies we offer for the amount of protection it provides. Talk to your agent.
Hey, Megan, I got a question.
Yeah.
Does that umbrella policy have to be attached to the same policy as your home and auto, et cetera, or could that be separate?
It's a separate policy. Yes.
Could it be from a different carrier, or does it have to be purchased from the same carrier?
Yes, so it can be a different carrier, but so let's say you have your auto and home with someone else, and you come to me and say you want, umbrella. We are going to require you to provide us declaration pages showing that you have the minimum requirements. I would recommend just packaging it all together with the current. Yeah, you get probably extra discounts. You do a State Farm, you get an additional discount for carrying that. But yes, you could. We're just going to require documentation of what the minimum limits are, just to make sure.
Okay, and you still have to have the base limits on your other policies.
Correct, and every company is different. Typically, it's it's your liability limits, $250,000 per person to $500,000 total are usually the minimum limits. So,
Okay.
Very good question. Okay, we got on the umbrella.
I think so.
Okay.
Do we want to pause for 1 second and see if anyone on the Zoom wants to chat and ask a specific question? We'll give everybody a minute to do that. Kara, do you want to tell everybody how to do that? I think there's a little chat button.
Mm-hmm.
Is it at the bottom?
Yeah, the little chat button at the bottom.
Yeah, you could just click chat if you have a question, and then we'll read it out loud. Did one come through?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, if anyone has a question at any time, go ahead, and I can see now if you push one through, so I'll pause and we can answer that question.
All right. So number 4. Yeah, we're number 4. I was trying to see.
Because I'm 3 for 3.
3 for 3.
I'm not competitive, right?
All right, this is an easy one, I think. So it should be 4 for 4 here. So your address may impact your auto insurance rate.
Actually, I don't know that one. I'm gonna guess yes.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
So I mean, there are many factors that impact an auto rate. I mean, way back, probably when like my grandfather was an agent. Address, type of car, your gender, did you have any tickets or accidents? Those were the main things. Now the actuarial calculation, I mean, me and you could drive the same type of vehicle in the same street and have a completely different price. So a big factor is credit. Okay, I don't pull credit score when I run a quote, but typically I can tell based on the price that comes back whether someone has good credit or not. So starting out having really good credit does impact, and every company out there is using a credit-based model.
Yeah, I have read that.
Yeah, so
Because there's like correlations between risk taking and credit scores.
right. So and age is a big thing too. So at age 25 is still a big number where your rates go down. Age 50 you get another break, and then it goes back up at age like 78 or 79.
That's good to know.
So it does. But there's always things that you can do to help your rate. A new thing for savings that's been really popular for the last few months is our telematics program. So every company out there has one now. Ours is called Drive Safe and Save, but it's a little Bluetooth device that you sync to an app on your phone, and it basically monitors driving habits and behavior. So we give you a discount up front for trying it, and then after we have enough data collected, you can get anywhere from a 1% discount to a 40% discount. So people weren't really up on it before, and then COVID happened, and no one's driving, right? Or their driving habits have changed, they're not going into the office. So they're like, yeah, how can I get my rates down? Well, it tracks mileage, and if you're not putting a lot of vehicles on, so that's a new thing in the industry that a lot of companies are offering, and even the usage-based driving premiums are popular now too.
That's
so
cool.
a lot of things affecting those auto insurance rates.
Yeah, and that's good to know. So at 50, you get a price break. What about
And
when
then this is State Farm specific. It can be different with other.
What about when you're retired? Because we have a lot of clients retiring. Like, do you get an additional break then, just because you're literally, most of our clients are driving a lot less when they're retired?
Right, so that would be a great time to call your agent and say, hey, I had a life change, I'm retiring, can we revisit my auto insurance? There's probably a loss of income coverage on there that you no longer need, right? Because if you get injured in a car accident, you can't claim anything, you're not a W-2 employee anymore. Your mileage is different, so there's different classifications of, are you driving this amount of miles per year versus this amount of miles per year, so there's coverage there. What else like I said, the telematics is a new thing too. If you're not driving a lot, or maybe you're just driving one vehicle. A lot of couples, they have 2 cars, but when they're retired, they primarily only use one. So maybe one is low annual mileage and one is not. So it's just another life change. You should call your agent and kind of do just like an overview of it. So all right. So this is one we get a lot, is your neighbor borrows your car and wrecks.
Ooh.
Don't worry. His insurance covers the damage to the vehicle. So he borrows your car with permission. He wrecks, but you don't have to worry because his insurance is going to take care of that damage.
Let's throw some to Josh.
Oh, Josh, what do you think? Did you pay attention to that question?
I did. I'm going to guess that your insurance goes with your vehicle, so your policy is going to pay.
Correct. Insurance follows the vehicle. As long as you gave permission, we're going to cover the damage.
Okay. But if you didn't, that's a different story.
Okay. All right. So we have a question.
Okay. So Brittany had a question. She said, if your credit score changes, will that affect your insurance premiums? Or does this only apply to new policy quotes?
That's a really great question, and it would vary by company based on their models, like their rating models. With State Farm, it affects more so our new customers coming in. It can affect additional vehicles that you add to your policy. Like if your credit score has changed and you add a 3rd vehicle or add a 2nd vehicle, that vehicle pricing is going to be at that time that we add that vehicle. And then if you have any other changes that would make us like want to rerun like a motor vehicle report or other loss reporting, things like that, it could change. You can request through your insurance company to rerun your rates. Like if you think that your credit improved, if you want to see if you can get a better rate, you can request that through the company, but whatever it comes back at, so it could come back higher, and that would be your new rate at the time. So you can request that they rewrite your policy.
Right, but there's other factors that go into it. Right? So the risk is your credit may have improved, but also there could be other things.
There could be additional things in that area that we have to compensate. So I wouldn't tell everyone like, hey, if your credit score improved, go out and get rewritten by your company. I wouldn't do that. This is just one part of the overall rating is the credit. So, but great question. That was a really good question. Okay, so yeah, insurance always follows the vehicle as long as you give permission to that person to drive. So I guess be mindful of who you give those keys to. All right, so this has been very popular as of late because of storms. There was a bad storm last night. Your neighbor's tree fell on your shed. We get the tree questions all the time. Your homeowners covers the damage. So your neighbor's tree falls on your shed, your homeowners covers the damage to your house.
I'm not sure about Josh.
Phone a friend, phone a husband, phone a spouse.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna guess your coverage will cover it because it's your house.
Yeah, and trees falling are usually an act of God, right? A big windstorm comes through. It's nothing that you were negligent for that would cause or their negligence for that tree falling over. So yeah, it can be their tree falling on your property. The key for your insurance to kick in is that it hits a structure. So if the tree just falls on the ground, just take care of it. I mean, it is built into the policy, at least into ours, that if it hits a structure, we'll pay to pick it up, put it on the ground, and then you have so much for debris removal. But if it doesn't hit anything, there's nothing to claim. So anyways, we get that one. I actually got a tree.
So it's your policy.
If the tree hits your structure, it's your policy.
Okay.
If your tree falls on the neighbors and it hits their house, it's their policy.
Yeah.
So we get the, well, my neighbor's calling me or my neighbor's texting me, you know, so
Oh my
we get in
gosh.
the middle of
It seems like tree problems. I've heard these stories too. Although we have our own tree problem, which is sort of a funny one, but it's not really an issue because we have a good relationship with our neighbor. But it sends these giant acorn bombs into our. It actually damages our car. It dings the car, and so now we just for like 4 or 5 months out of the year cannot park there, right in our own driveway. Even though he's had it trimmed, but it is like a really funny issue because it's like this acorn.
An acorn or a tree falls on your car, what covers it?
Right.
The car.
Right,
The
right.
comprehensive coverage on
Okay.
the car is going to cover the damage.
But
to
I
the
mean, it's
car.
probably not worth making a claim for that. It's like a little.
If it's a little thing, yeah. I mean, no. I mean, we've had claims where a tree falls on the car.
Right, that's
you know, then we replace it, but it's covered under your comprehensive. But yeah, just take care of those trees.
They hurt really bad too when they hit you at the top of the head, and we don't let the kids go over there.
I've never seen an acorn fall. You'll have to.
It's crazy. I mean, they fall from so high that they're just. It's an acorn. It just. I mean, they're really like they actually hurt really bad. It's a funny problem. So.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I know acorns.
I'm sure you'll hear something like that at some point in your career. You probably have a lot of these
They're
stories.
funny.
I think we have
Alright,
another chat question.
What?
We have a chat question.
Oh, we
Chat
do.
question.
Okay. Here, let me.
Discuss condo homeowners insurance, and is there a difference compared to a single family?
Condo homeowners for condo.
Oh, for condo, yeah. So there is a difference between a condominium homeowner's policy and traditional single-family homeowner. So with the condo, you pay an HOA, and they cover the exterior of the structure. Your condo is protecting the interior structure and then your personal property. So we say think floor to ceiling and walls in, and anything attached is going to be your structure. And then, of course, your personal property, such as your furniture, your clothing, electronics, stuff like that. Anything you're responsible inside, but we wouldn't include the exterior. So kind of obviously then if you're having less coverage for a condo, it's a lot less expensive than a
So
traditional.
it should be
condo.
because the HOA is covering
Right.
a portion of that line.
You're paying your HOA
And that's
to
it.
purchase a policy that's going to cover your roof or your exterior. So yeah, that's a great question. Okay, we get this one a lot because we all who live in Pittsburgh and know that our roads are just lovely. So you hit a pothole causing damage under your vehicle. This is covered under your comprehensive coverage. So hit a pothole, damage to your vehicle, the comprehensive coverage under your policy pays for the damage.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yes.
You guys finally got one wrong.
Man.
I've been waiting. I know you guys to get 100%. No, so a lot of people think it's comprehensive because, you know, it usually just appears out of nowhere, right? But collision is, you know, you are in.
Is it covered under collision?
It falls under the collision. So
Okay, so it is covered. It's just not on the.
covered. You're just subject to your collision deductible. So
Okay.
oftentimes your comprehensive deductible is a little less than your collision. And comprehensive covers things that are considered like acts of God. A deer runs out in front of you or an animal, hail damage, flood, theft, vandalism, those types of things are all comprehensive. Collisions, anything else. So it is the insurance carriers, you know, view that you should be in control of your vehicle at all times. And so you should be able to see that pothole and steer or miss it
Or slow down or whatever.
slow down. So yeah, it is covered, but it's subject to your collision deductible. So, but we get that one a lot too, just because our roads are just so lovely around here.
Yeah.
So anyways, okay, last one. You rear end another car and they need a new bumper. No damage to your vehicle. You owe your deductible before his repairs are made. So you're just filing for damage to their vehicle. You have no issue, but you still have to pay a deductible. True or false?
I would say true. Josh.
You hit somebody, they need the damage fixed. Your deductible would come into play because you hit them, right?
Yeah. So is that, you're saying yes?
Yeah.
Oh man, I got you guys again.
Oh.
No, so
Wait for the last two.
the last
You just
two.
tripped us with semantics. Okay.
So your liability, so this is where that personal liability umbrella comes into play too. So anytime your liability pays out, either on your home or on your auto, there's no deductible.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know
it's
So why is that liability? To cover damage?
Yeah, so you only pay your deductible when you damage your home or you damage your vehicle.
I didn't realize that at all.
Yeah, so
That's
no
actually
deductible for the liability coverage. So your rates could change, right? So you're an at-fault accident, property damage may be paid out for their damage, but you know, you are not subject to deductible.
Good to know.
So you did pretty good. You
I
were
guess
good
now
too.
it's an A minus, probably like an A, like probably B plus, I
Yeah,
guess.
B plus. You're not a B plus student though.
I'm not, but that's
okay.
okay.
That hurt
I
today.
know, it's all right, it's okay. You
It
tricked
was
me.
Josh's fault.
Yeah, it was Josh's fault. He's supposed to back me up there. so.
Yeah. So, but are there any other questions? That was just a fun way to kind of get the conversation going. Those are really common questions that we get from a lot of our customers on a regular basis. So just thought it'd be a fun way to kind of get the convo going.
Yeah. Josh, let us know if anybody posts any questions because it's a little hard for us to see from here. I have a couple.
Yeah.
Josh, are there any? I don't think there are any questions right now.
No more from the audience.
So I'm going to throw one out that is one that always comes up, or at least more, I guess it's more of an observation. So I notice a lot of people shopping for liability insurance through like discount providers. But then, so a lot of times they're like shopping just price. But then, you know, they go to make a claim and maybe it doesn't cover everything that they think it covers. So I was wondering if maybe you could comment on one, I mean, I know you do a really comprehensive process. Like, how do you kind of walk through like a client situation to really assess what they need? Because I know for us as Stein Wealth Advisors, we really want, when we look at insurances, no matter what kind it is, we want our clients to get the right coverage for the right cost, not necessarily always the cheapest, right? But like, what are some of the things that are important, and what are some of the things that you find some of those discount policies are missing?
Yeah. So price is important, right? Everyone wants to have a good price for something that they're buying. State Farm would not be the #1 auto and fire insurance carrier out there since the 1960s if we were just based on price, right? We are not the cheapest. We don't want to be the cheapest. We never want to be the cheapest. But do you buy the cheapest car out there because it's the least expensive, or even as much as toilet paper? I want to pay a competitive price for a quality piece of toilet paper, but I'm not buying the cheapest on the shelf, right? Because it just doesn't get the job done.
Well, except for during COVID, because you would buy any toilet paper you could find. But
That's
funny, right? But that was severely annoying.
Yeah, it's just, you know, cheap isn't always the best, right? And so we can't uphold our reputation on price alone. So when you're shopping or when you're looking at insurance, we want to make sure that there's a value there. And I think I mentioned it in the beginning of our conversation. At claims time is not the time you want to find out what your policy covers and what it doesn't cover. And using an agent or an agency team, that we're a local small business in your area, right? We're your neighbors. We're gonna be able to ask you the right questions to make sure you have the right coverage that's available. Is everything covered out there? No, but insurance is for catastrophic, right? So you want to keep that in mind first, is that what you're paying for, do you know what it's providing? What is the value? And if you're in an accident, I'm pretty sure that most people are going to say, well, I want my policy to cover the damages. Do you know what you carry? When's the last time you reviewed? When's the last time you looked at it? So there's that price is important and you want it to be competitive, but you also want to have some value in that
Understand
and understand what you have. And you don't need to be an expert. That's job security for me. You know, like let me take that on, but let me educate you and let me ask you the right questions. You know, what do you have to protect? What's your house like? What are your cars like? You know, what types of assets do you have invested? What could somebody go after if they were to sue you for causing injury or property damage. So we make sure that we ask those questions up front.
And and I know you explain the policy
Yeah.
too. I think a lot of times people just get this policy, they don't really know what any of those deck pages mean,
Right.
or haven't like decided on the coverage sells with you. It's just kind of like, here it is, this is my
And
quote.
it's not, super long process. It could take us 20 minutes to uncover what you need, but we're gonna ask you questions and we're gonna get to know your situation to be able to say like, yeah, you're in a good situation, these are good coverages for you, or hey, I would tweak this a little bit, or have you thought about this? So going back to the discounts, I mean, every company out there offers these special discounts, and a lot of them are for new customers coming in
To just get them.
just to get them in, and they usually fall off after 6 months at the next renewal or after a year. Some companies don't even run like motor vehicle reports for loss history until the 6-month point, and then so you have this really good rate, and then all of a sudden they jack
But
the
that's really
price.
scary, because then they're insuring people that are like really at risk, which actually, means that, they have to charge more premium on the other end.
Right.
Most people don't realize that. Like if they're not monitoring who they're insuring, like an insurance company, and they're insuring risky people and they have more claims to pay out, it just makes it more expensive for other people down the road.
Right. And when you think of cheap insurance or the least expensive, you have to think about, okay, what company am I doing business with? What are their ratings? Right? All the insurance companies out there have ratings. Are they financially stable? Are they going to be able to pay out my claim? What is the we do live in an area where we don't have like huge catastrophes, right? The biggest catastrophes we have are usually like hailstorms that come in, or we had a couple winters with really bad snow.
Right.
But we're not
like California with like forest fires and everything
yeah,
else.
but if something like that happens, right, you want to make sure that your insurance company is setting up shop and they're out there going house to house and they're able to write that check and say, here, this is for your damages. And State Farm has the ability to do that, and not all companies do. So no, we're not cheap. We never want to be cheap, but be mindful of that when you're out there shopping.
Okay, that's good advice. And I know Megan's not going to give herself a plug, but I will. One of the things I love about her, she's actually our liability. She's our agent. But anytime we have anything happen, and we have, trust me, we've had some flooding and other things happen in businesses, I knew who to call. I wasn't calling like a 1-800 number. I texted and I called Megan. I was like, Megan, this is a disaster. It was Christmas Day. We had one of our stores flood, and she got right on that and, took care of it. So eventually you deal with like a claims handler, but at least you have a real person to call. And I know that most of you value that, because that's why you work with Stein Wealth Advisors too. You're not getting a 1-800 number, you're getting a personal experience. And, she really feels, I know she says it's so boring stuff, but she feels really passionate about this. Her path, she's a 3rd generation State Farm agent. So this is like a family legacy for her. So I'm quite sure if anyone wanted a second opinion on their insurance, that Megan would be happy to do that for you anytime this summer.
Yeah, and it's free. Like we don't charge a consultation. It's just for us to take a second look, we'd be happy to do that. And I appreciate the opportunity to just come on and share some education around insurance. It seems boring to people, but yeah, when you get into it, like it can be really fun, and really truly the best part of my job is the relationships and being able to learn about people's families and make sure that they have the right protection and to be there when they do seriously.
Yeah, and there's sometimes at the worst times you're there for them.
You are.
I'm gonna throw one question out, if you don't mind me, before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Can you talk for a minute about personal articles? Because I do get those questions from time to time.
Yeah, so there are, so a personal articles policy can be put in place for high valued items that you want scheduled separately from your homeowner's policy. So think of things like high value jewelry, antiques, maybe paintings that are, artwork. I insure a lot of like the antique rugs that are very expensive. We do have musical instruments, but under the homeowner's policy, there's usually limits to things. Guns are a big thing too. There's limits to jewelry, there's limits to guns. And if you want specific coverage for specific pieces, we usually look at a separate
over that coverage, right? So it might say like you have, I think ours is like up to $10,000 in jewelry. like it covers or something like
Yeah.
that. But then, so if you have a piece of jewelry that's $20,000, you're not gonna get, and you lose it, you're not gonna get.
Right,
you know,
and then
$20,000.
the other nice thing about having it separate is that the personal articles policy is much more comprehensive than the homeowner. So you have 16 main perils that are going to be covered under the homeowners. That does not cover like your stone falling out of a ring, right? You're not going to put that under your homeowners, there's no coverage. A personal articles policy, there's typically no deductible or a smaller deductible, and it's going to cover for the replacement of that ring. You could be at the ocean, right, and it slips
It
off.
happens. I mean,
It happens, it goes down the drain. That's something that's covered under a personal articles policy, not covered under a traditional homeowners policy. So good question, I'm glad you brought that up, because yeah, when we're talking to people that have accumulated wealth or have assets to protect, we're talking about the personal liability umbrella to protect their things, but then also, okay, there are limits to these policies. If you have
something
a
that's
nice
super
ring,
special, like a family heirloom or something.
exactly. And we would require appraisals for certain things or receipts just to show documentation of what we're insuring. But yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for bringing that up, Josh.
This is awesome.
Well, this is fun.
I
We
actually-
do this every week.
I know.
We'll have to come up with different topics, because I don't know how much more insurance stuff I can
I know, well, I'm sure we can come up with it.
Why I get locked in the office every week?
Yeah, we're gonna start, this is our own version of the review.
Yeah, and I mean, as soon as you guys can be open to your clients, schedule an appointment to come in, because this office, I could get used to working here, and that's for sure. It's gorgeous.
Thanks, Megan. We're really excited. I know it's kind of a bummer that no one can see it. Although I'm kind of excited because now all the suspense, like everybody's gonna have to wait, and when they do see it, it'll be a
Big
big
reveal. So,
Wow.
thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We're gonna send out a follow-up email with a recording as well as information about Megan. And if you have any questions, you can email me, Josh, Kara, Megan, anybody. We'll get we'll get you an answer, but we'll also get it to the right place. So thanks for doing this. We love seeing everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.